Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome, everyone. Glad to have you here today. This weekend's house calls are going to be recorded from sunny Southern California. I'm out here for some work-based meetings, visiting some amazing colleagues in the health and wellness and anti-aging based field. I always love coming out here. I haven't been for, well, I shouldn't say that. I did come once during the 2-year pandemic or so. But, you know, obviously the vibe was different. We weren't able to go out and enjoy all this beautiful weather and great restaurants and all that. But I'm here now and, kind of regathering with the people that I used to see every 3 or 4 months. Southern California is one of those meccas for kind of the best that health and wellness and fitness has to offer. There's just a million places out here, almost literally, from healthy restaurants to great nutrition-based companies, fitness studios, etc. So I'm excited to be out here visiting with many of my colleagues and people that I can call friends. But I wanted to be able to keep up with our show, and I want to be able to answer your questions. So today and tomorrow's show is going to be here in my hotel room. So if you're watching on video, I would love for you to, again, if you're watching on YouTube, of course, to follow along, to subscribe, to like. We appreciate you and appreciate you helping to grow the YouTube-based channel. That means a lot to us. And if you're just listening on audio, well, that's fantastic as well. But again, if you can subscribe, like the show, leave a review, we would appreciate that. But if the audio quality isn't where it should be that you're used to, I apologize. I wanted to make sure that I got the content to you. Hopefully the answers in the Q&A is helpful. But again, we'll be back on Monday with that, I guess, more professional microphone. All right, let's dive into your questions, answering all things health, wellness, anti-aging, and as I always say, and everything in between. So the first question, again, these are coming from, this one's May 16th, and it looks like we're going to go through about May 17th or so for today's Q&A. So if you asked before that, your question's already been answered on the weekend house call because I answer all the questions that they come in the order they come in. And if it's afterwards, well, it'll be coming soon. But I can tell you as well that this show is going to debut on, let's see, about June, July, August. So about 12 weeks from when these questions were asked. That is what we're running at right now. So just to let you know, we're about 12 weeks until you can get your question answered. Of course, write in at cabralsupportgroup.com if you want your question answered same day inside of our coaching group. All right, let's get started. Seth is up first. Seth says, love your podcast and love how you explain things. So many questions I could ask, but I'll start with these two. Thank you, Seth. Appreciate that. First, I've dealt with slow parastoltic movement or just plain constipation forever. I've tried it all. Nothing works. I eat tons of fiber and I focus more on insoluble. But tell me if I'm wrong. And then second question, I see you wearing a smart watch. Is the EMF levels different on that one? I've always opted for no wearable and wired headphones, etc. Thanks, Doc. All right, Seth, happy to answer both these for you, and I appreciate you tuning into the show and your support. Like I said, this show would be nothing without you and all of our supporters. Like, that's really the bottom line. So let's dive in. Slow peristaltic movement, constipation. All right, I've done many shows on constipation, but is there enough calories? Okay. Is there enough fiber? Is there enough water? Because all of that can lead to constipation. Okay, that's not the issue. All right. So then why the slow peristaltic movement? Typically sympathetic nervous system dominance. So you want to try running that stress, mood, and metabolism test. If you have higher levels of cortisol, or even if you just want to run the HTMA, the minerals and metals test, that's fine too. If you see higher levels of stress, then that can lead to slower levels of peristaltic movement because your body needs to be relaxed in order to basically, remember, I wish I had my buddy Walter, my mannequin here. But the first part, so think about this. The food moves through your stomach into the small intestine. That's like 20, 21 feet. And then when it goes through the ileocecal valve, it needs to go uphill. It needs to literally go up the right side for about like 6 or 8 inches of intestine. No, it's even a little bit more, about a foot of intestine before it moves up the transverse the transverse colon. And that's even longer. That's like, say, about 2 feet. And then that's when it finally starts to go downhill for the descending colon. So you really have to make sure that, again, the stress levels are low. That's why, again, I'm recommending typically alkalizing vitamin C in the morning with warm water. I'm recommending the calming magnesium before bed for people that are constipated, the full spectrum magnesium through the day, and then the adrenal soothe typically the second half of the day. So that's that. Other things that work really well are ginger, vitamin B6. So if you're not already using an activated B complex, along with your daily nutritional support in the morning, you can do that. The activated B complex could go 1 cap at lunch, 1 cap at dinner if you wanted. And then ginger tea I already mentioned. So those are the big ones. A lot of people use then 5-HTP for calming the body too. I'm not against that. The easiest way to do it would just be the sleep help support at night to help with that bowel movement in the morning. So anyway, that's what I'm recommending. The big 5 labs always will tell you kind of what's going on with the body, what's off. And then the second one about the watch, well, so here's the thing. I'm saying it first here on the show. I'm probably going to be getting rid of the white shirt. I don't know. I always use it for my business meetings, but I'm thinking about going more comfortable for the, after what? I've worn this white shirt forever, like over a decade in my practice. So it'll be a little difficult to let go, but I'm thinking about just going back to my more health and fitness days where we're like a polo. Anyway, short sleeve polo. I'll be in warmer weather. I'll talk more about that in the future as well. So, but my watch. So I always wear, for the most part, crazy watches because I really don't, it's interesting. I like watches. I really do. I don't have anything like I wear white shirts. I'm pretty simple, like for the most part, but I always have crazy watches on. So the watch that I was wearing was the Apple Watch that you might have seen. And so, yes, that is EMFs. I always put mine on airplane mode. So that is the way that you'll take off the EMFs. Just turn off the Bluetooth, turn off your, put it on airplane mode, and then you can just sync it, just like I do for this Oura Ring. It's on airplane mode, and then when I pop it on, I can just see my results anytime that I want, all right? So hopefully that was helpful. Catherine's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. My family and I live in a city with very high pollution. We live near an industrial area, and there are frequently odors. Some days are fine. It's dependent on the wind direction. Due to finances, we don't have the option to move in the near term. However, I do hope to move somewhere with better air quality eventually. I have bought Conway air filters for our home, but I'm nervous about regularly breathing in the air from outside. How large of an issue do you think this is? Should moving be a top priority, even if it's not great financially? Are there any other ways to protect our family, especially our kids? Okay, so happy to help with this one. If you think about it, the majority of the time for most people is spent indoors, which means that you just need a really good air filter. I don't know Conway air filters, so I just don't know them. The air filters that I recommend, that I have tested, that I know work, are at stephencabral.com/resources. I put them in bedrooms and I put them in the living room, the areas that you're going to be the most, okay? My daughters are sleeping in their room for like 10, 11 hours a night. I'm in my bedroom, my wife and I, 8 hours a night, okay? And then we have one in our living room. So that's what we are doing. If you're short financially, I totally get it. For a long time, I would have one in my daughter's room, and then we would rotate one between our living room during the day, and then I would put the other one in our bedroom an hour or so before bed. Remember, these air filters filter the air like every 12 minutes, so they're really powerful now. So that's what I would do. And then in your car, believe it or not, some of them even make car air filters that you can just plug into your car filter. What's it called? Where the it's like a little plug-in that they used to have for like an ashtray or something, right? What's the name of that thing that you just plug in I don't know, it's like a car charger. You know what I'm saying? And you can plug one in there. So they even make some car filter ones. Now, what can you do outside? Well, it's hard. When you go outside, obviously, that's the time when a mask actually works. It really works. A K95 mask keeps those things out. I remember being in China over a decade ago for an internship in old Beijing, and the air was very, very filthy. It's gotten better, but it was bad. Like, it was really bad. You could actually put your finger off a wall and you could see all the soot that was there after a rainstorm. So I totally get it. I can't tell you what to do financially, right? That's not necessarily the best thing for me to do for you, but I think air quality, so you need clean water, clean air, like those things are of the utmost importance, right? Clean air, clean water, clean food. So I think it's up there as well for the future. All right, Megan's up next. Hello, I listen to your podcast every day. You are inspiring and so knowledgeable. I really appreciate you sharing everything you've learned about your health and wellness through the years. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. Can I ask your opinion about the best natural deodorant for women? I switched to a non-aluminum based deodorant and my armpits get a rash when I use it. Little red bumps. Should I keep using it in hopes my skin will adjust? Thank you. Megan, that's a really great question. And the truth is that not every deodorant works for every person and every skin type and every pH of the body. So I recommend trying a bunch. I literally tried like 10 before I found a brand that I liked of natural-based deodorant. I have many of the deodorant, again, like I have over 100 products from other companies at stephencabral.com/resources. So I would check out that page if you've never done it before. Just take like a couple minutes just to scroll through the page. I think you'll find some really interesting companies there because again, I love this industry, so I love promoting other people. And yeah, so here are some of the brands. There is Native, there is Crystal, there is Piper Y, there is Bally. I can't even think of all the different names that are out there. There's some spray-based ones with essential oils. So sometimes it's the baking soda that will be bothering you. Sometimes it's coconut oil that might be bothering you. Sometimes like it's all these different things. Sometimes there's salts in them like a magnesium chloride or something like that. So you just have to try a bunch and see which one works for you. That's my biggest recommendation. Not to try to fight through the one that you're using right now. All right, Alicia's up next. Hi, first of all, thank you for helping me change my life. I did a detox, food sensitivity, and CBO protocol thus far. Oh, I'm happy to hear that was helpful. Let's see. I've had hidradenitis, Suppurativa, since I was 8 years old, and chronic yeast infections forever. It seems to be the worst around my cycle. I stopped my birth control and doxycycline for HS to do this protocol, and I hadn't had an outbreak until a week after completion. I have a yeast infection and 5 flares. An archive podcast mentions the gut and parasite lab. I need to know what I should run next to find my root cause. I don't want to do antibiotics again. I'm desperate to get rid of these flare-ups after losing 60 pounds this last year. I want to wear tanks and shorts, so I'm hoping to figure out something before it gets too bad. Please help. All right, Alicia, absolutely happy to help. We've worked with this particular issue many, many times in our practice, and I know that it's also searchable at stephencabral.com/podcast. So just make sure that we're helping you for that, and that you can find that there as well. All right. So let's just take this stuff. People that are not familiar with hidradenitis, the itis is always basically an inflammatory issue. This one's an inflammatory issue of essentially like the sweat glands. Typically, it's kind of like that was Megan, right? Megan just asked about like red bumps under the armpits. That's not exactly the same, but honestly, the symptoms can look the same. And then you've had chronic yeast infections. Okay, so you tuned into one of my previous podcasts. You heard that I recommended the bacteria and parasite stool test, and yes, that's the number one that you could do for sure. So without a doubt. So again, like that's why my answers from 5 years ago are going to be my answers today, because I have to give you my disclaimer, no medical diagnosis, no medical treatment plans, no medical advice, no medical cures. But this is to figure out what your underlying root causes are. So of course you want to run the big 5 if possible. If you can only run one lab, it's the bacteria and parasite stool test, and the second one would be the Candida and metabolic and vitamins test. So 100%. Then you get your plan as to why this is going on. Because again, if you're on doxycycline, which is a very powerful antibiotic, and birth control and all of these things, and it's just constant flare-ups, we need to figure out and get to the bottom line. That's 100% what I would do. And then you'll find out if the CBO protocol is going to be what we need to do, because you were doing well on it, but then it didn't stick. So I have a feeling that we might need to work on the bacterial balance in your gut. Like 100% I have that feeling. Clean gut probiotic, etc. Seth, hopefully you're still listening, because your peristaltic movement issues could be a bacterial imbalance as well. And so Seth, if you're listening still, please do the bacteria and parasite stool test as well to see if you have a bacterial imbalance, because a bacterial imbalance in your gut can also lead to constipation or loose stool. It can go both ways. All right. Thank you, Alicia, for writing in. And keep on keeping on. You'll get there. 100% you'll get there. Megan's up next. Different Megan, different spelling. Hey, Dr. C, just a question about vitamin D and vitamin A. What do you say to people who promote not to take any more than 2,000 IUs of vitamin D because it interferes with the absorption and utilization of vitamin A? Thanks for all you do. Okay. Again, so people take things and they take snippets and they make it all of reality. And it's just simply not true. Like, it's just like the bottom line is like, it's not true. So here, let me share with some other things that are true but not true. You shouldn't take zinc because it's going to push down copper. Okay, well, yeah, both are true. You should take zinc and it will push down copper. So how do you prevent it from pushing down copper? Well, you take balanced zinc, which is zinc and copper, right? But then if you have high copper on a minerals and metals test and it's out of balance, well, then you just take straight zinc to push down copper, right? So that's why this works so well. Okay, so let's say that you need vitamin D and vitamin A, and you need them both. Great. So you use something like the Daily Nutritional Support, which is your 100+% of all your vitamin A. By the way, in natural form is beta carotene, and you take your vitamin D, and you get both, right? Like, that's the thing. And so the problem is people talk about things as if it's in a vacuum. I'm going to do a show just on vitamin C. The greatest confusion is over ascorbic acid, as if it doesn't work. It's the most studied form of vitamin C ever and has tens of thousands of studies on it showing that it works. So why do people at the beginning of their health education journey say that you should never take ascorbic acid? Well, because it's only one part of overall vitamin C. Again, I don't want to ruin the whole podcast because there's a whole podcast on it, but that's as if it was taken in a vacuum and you did nothing else and didn't eat any food, right? And so we have to understand is that if you were to take only vitamin D and not get any vitamin A, it might be a problem. But it would be a problem that way if you didn't take any calcium, or you didn't take any magnesium, or you didn't take any vitamin K, right? But you're getting all those things in something like the Daily Nutritional Support or a daily activated multi and in your 3 whole food meals a day. So 2,000 is absolutely arbitrary. What if you weigh 225 pounds? What if you weigh 100 pounds? Is it always just 2,000? No, of course not, right? So the best thing that you can do is literally take the stress, mood, and metabolism test that has vitamin D in it, or just a vitamin D test. All of these are at stephencabral.com/labs, which just pushes you right over to the EcoLife. And then you can know for sure. So that's that. I always say, be careful who you're listening to online. Everything is just so absolute with like no nuance behind it. And everybody has all the answers, so it's like, I don't even know what to say. All right. Tara is our last question of the day. Hello, I'm 37 years old and I've been, but one more. So I always have more to say and I apologize. Just keep in mind though, there are upper limits to both. So I don't recommend overdoing vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin D, or vitamin K because they're fat soluble vitamins. So typically we're using between 2,000 and 4,000 IUs a day of vitamin D. And then there's upper limits for the others as well. All right. So Tara's up next. Hello, I'm 37 years old and I've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's autoimmune disorder and I'm lost. I'm waiting to do a food allergy test, but I'm in Canada and everything takes forever. I already know I have a gluten allergy due to how it makes me feel, and my doctor just put me on Synthroid and I'm taking iodine drops. Vitamin D, magnesium, omega, all good I think it's supposed to say quality. Is there any other immediate steps you would recommend? Yeah, my recommendation is to find out why you have Hashimoto's. So the nice thing is I have a lot of free podcasts just on thyroid. So I want you to go to stevencabral.com/podcasts. There are little images at the top of all the different podcast categories. Scroll through them, click on the one that says thyroid. There's probably around 40 or 50. They're all free. You will definitely know how to work on thyroid by going through that. Or you can type in Hashimoto's at stevencabral.com/podcasts. And if you go to stevencabral.com/courses, I have a whole course, 4.5 hours of straight thyroid that takes you from A to Z on how to rebalance the body. Like for the people who want to just figure it out once and for all. So that's that. And then again, the big 5 labs is what you'd want to run. We ship them to Canada. That would have everything that you're looking for, the IgG, not just an IgA, food sensitivity, has your stress, mood, and metabolism that looks at thyroid. Has your gut-based testing to find out why you may have an autoimmune issue. And I would definitely read The Rain Barrel Effect. That book is now free at stevencabral.com. You just pay for the shipping. For Canada, actually, you wouldn't be able to get it in Canada, but you get it at stevencabral.com/shop, which sends you over to Equalife. So again, there's no doubt about it. We've worked with so many people with Hashimoto's. And just like everything, again, honestly, myself, people in my practice, people all over the world, there's always an answer. It's our job just to find out what it is, all right? So hopefully today's show is helpful. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care, everybody. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.